What's up, all my movie loving maniacs? It's your boy Bangful B, and I brought on a guest that you've probably seen on a couple of my videos, and I'm also collaborating with him on something special in the works, but you'll just have to stay tuned for that. But I brought on my boy Winston Bowman, and he was also an actor in my short film, so
Hey, how y'all doing?
basically I brought you on because back in February I watched the movie Waves for the first time, which you had recommended me a long time ago. Now, every Black History Month I have this tradition where I try to watch black films that I've never seen before, and so I thought about Waves, and so I watched that, and since I've watched it back in February, it's one of those movies that I won't say that it's ingrained in my mind, but it's just one of those movies that it sticks with you after seeing it, because it's like the structure of the film, the themes of the film, the brilliant acting within the film. And I figured since this movie is coming up on 5 years, it's not a monumental anniversary, but it's still worth celebrating. And plus, I feel like a lot more people are coming along to this movie, and especially with Sterling K. Brown is in the movie and he's gotten a lot of awards recognition. But real quick, I just want to get your general thoughts on the movie as a whole.
As somebody who did wrestling in high school, it was just incredible just to see like a wrestling movie. Sports movies aren't super popular, but generally when they happen, it's football or basketball almost exclusively, with the exception of a baseball movie here, a soccer movie here, a hockey movie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you'll see them scattered throughout, but for the most part, most sports movies kind of are centered around football or basketball. So seeing a wrestling movie, it was really impressive.
That's definitely something that stood out to me, was the fact that it was a wrestling movie, which we definitely don't see a lot of within movies. But I think what stood out to me the most about the movies is the underlying themes within the movie, which is it was like two different movies in one, because it's like the first half was about the son, and then the second half was about the daughter, and then seeing everything the son went through, just being the pressures of being a star within wrestling and trying to live up to expectations, especially being a black man and trying to live up to his father's expectations, and then he inevitably messed up, and then he has to pay the price for that. And then the second half of the movie is just all about the daughter and how she's dealing with it, and just everybody dealing with the trauma and all that. In fact, I think the director of the movie, he pretty much broke it down as like the first half of the movie is about pain, and then the second half was about healing. And so what did you think about that?
I thought that's something that I really loved about it. The way they broke down the film, like you said, into like 3 different movies. And the way they did it was, okay, you have, like you said, you're seeing the intensity of what he's going through, but you're also seeing how his struggles affected his parents. You're seeing how his struggles affected his sister. You're seeing, like, it's not just, oh, we're only seeing how the parent is affected, or in this one scene we see how the sister is affected. No, you're really seeing, like, what prison does to the family, right? Like how, like, that is to a degree traumatizing for them, and how that there is a healing process for them. You're seeing what addiction looks like to other people who aren't going through it directly, but also the person who's going through it. I just thought that they captured everything about the family really well. Like, I think that was something that was well done. I think a lot, and I think you can agree, most movies you get some, you know what I'm saying, even if they do a really good job of pointing out, all right, this is a lead character. There was like multiple lead characters, and it was very well shot, very well done film, very well done.
I'll definitely say the son and the father was, in a way, the heart of at least the first half of the movie for me, because you definitely see how his father played wonderfully by Sterling K. Brown, and like how his struggles as a black man growing up, and then how he's directly putting those same pressures on him, and how his son deals with it versus how his dad deal with it. And then in the end, his dad realizing, like, maybe I did a little bit too much, and now he's trying to pretty much mend whatever he's broken within his daughter, and then that's when we get that shot where they're sitting at the pond and then they're hugging each other and then healing each other. So, like, what did you think? What did you think of the relationship between the father and his son? And do you have any experiences that's kind of similar to that, if you want to tell?
I liked that dynamic of the father and son. I think, being a teenager, sometimes you can feel like your parents don't get you. And so sometimes you can have like a contentious relationship with your father because they're pushing you. They've been where you are, but this is as far as you've gone in your life. But they've been ahead, and so they know what you need, given your personality trait, to be able to push you forward. And a lot of the times that push hurts, and that push isn't comfortable, and you saw that, and I think it was well done. And you saw the son's temperament being able to change from after the drugs and the what led him to addiction. I think I liked how the movie pushed that. It just didn't like, oh, he just popped up addicted to pills. It was, you saw what led to it. You saw it came out of necessity, and then it came out of like relief. It was well done. But yeah, I liked how they did the father and son dynamic. I thought it was accurate given the stressors that the movie presented.
I definitely agree. And I think another thing that led to the son's downfall was the relationship with his girlfriend, played by Alexa Demi, who played I'm blanking on her name, but she was on the show Euphoria. So that's another thing that I didn't realize. Well, there's a lot of actors and actresses within this movie I didn't realize was in this, because I always knew Sterling K. Brown was in it, which drew me into the movie during its initial run. Because it's like, oh, Sterling K. Brown's in this, I want to check that out. And then eventually, it kind of flew under my radar, but I eventually got around to it. But I didn't know his wife was played by Renee Ellis Goldsberry, who you may know from Hamilton, and then his girlfriend was on the show Euphoria, and then the daughter, she was in the movie Escape Room, and then the girlfriend's brother, he's been in a whole bunch of things that I've seen him in. So, but what do you think of the performances?
I thought the acting was phenomenal, and that was a big reason why I recommended it to you. I was like, first off, like I said, the novelty of it being a wrestling movie, like that's one. But I was like, bro, the acting in this, it's top tier. It's top tier. And I'm I hate to say it, sometimes when we when it comes to like predominantly black films, and this, I will say this, with this film, it was very diverse, had a very diverse cast. So I don't want to, but I think with films that have predominantly black leads, I should say that, sometimes there is like, they might overact, and so it's kind of like, that's a little dramatic, say like you add a little bit extra, more drama than that would have been necessary. But I felt like everybody acted sensationally. Like, I was surprised that the movie, given the level of performance and given the popularity of some of the characters. Now, granted, some of the characters became more popular, after the film's release. Mm-hmm. But given, I'm surprised a lot of people didn't go back. I'm like, oh, this is a really good film. Like, the acting was superb. It's one of my favorite films just from an acting standpoint.
That's interesting. One of your favorites from the acting standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to rank off the top of my head, but yeah.
But to go back to the relationship between the son and the girlfriend real quick, I think another thing that stood out to me was them, because in a way you kind of see from a teenage boy's perspective what it's like to go through a breakup. Because it's like, well, the curveball that was thrown at him at first was he got her pregnant, and then he wants to work things out, but then she's like, nah, and then he starts going through all that anxiety of like, what's she doing? Is she with another person? And then it's like, and I think we could all definitely relate to like being a teenager in high school and going through that first breakup, or going through a breakup that was that hurtful to you, or what happens. And I think we can definitely relate to the emotions that he was going through, not to the extent that he would go on and accidentally kill someone, but just the level of anxiety that he was going through.
I'll say this: I lived high school a little bit differently, but like I've definitely seen firsthand the like you were talking about so many guys who after a breakup just are just almost a different person. And like I think that film just encapsulated that well, like how he was pretty much a different person, like his life trajectory changed post breakup. So it was I loved that.
You also spoke about diversity. One fun fact about the movie is that it's a black film, but it was directed by a white guy. And initially, he wanted a white family, but then he thought the film itself would be just a little bit more effective if it was a black family.
That's an interesting take. I feel like the plot of the film was so well done. I feel like if you were to have gotten white actors who would have been of a comparable acting level, it still would have been a phenomenal film. It still would have been something I would have said like as a 10 out of 10 film. But I will say this, as somebody who's black and as somebody who did his wrestling, who wrestled, that's kind of like a novelty in and of itself. Like there's not a lot of like black wrestlers, like just to put it out there. So it was cool to see. It was definitely cool to see.
I guess the last thing we'll speak on is the music within the movie, because I tell you, like, that was basically the soundtrack of my life during the 2010s.
They did like that party scene, and they were singing the Kendrick song.
Oh, Don't Kill My Vibe.
It wasn't just that one. The all my life I want money.
Backseat Freestyle.
Yes, Backseat Freestyle, and like the way they were going up for, like during the beat change, it would just definitely reminded me of like parties around that time. Like I was like the music for that party and stuff like that, and just the music throughout the film. I was like, this is whoever chose these songs, boy. They was on one. They were on one. The music selection throughout the course of the film just very accurately encapsulated whatever the moment was presenting.
Like a song that definitely stood out to me, and it might be a deep cut for a lot of people, especially Kid Cudi fans. It was the song "Ghost" by Kid Cudi, and it played during the part of the movie where he accidentally killed the girlfriend, and then when it just cuts off for a little bit and then it cuts back on, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's stuff like that, right? It's stuff like that, like whenever somebody does something like chooses songs where it's just not like Billboard's top 10 songs like throughout the course of the film, it's like, oh, I haven't heard that one in a while. Oh, that's an album cut. Like, it's I love that. I love that the music choice from the film as well.
Do you see this movie standing the test of time much in the future?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think it'll stand the test of time because I think the themes of the film, I hate to say, are something that will unfortunately pass through in the future, right? There's going to be families who have somebody whose life takes a totally different trajectory, right? There's going to be families who have tragedy strike upon them and they have to heal together. I think it's something that will be relatable to families, to people individually, throughout time, right? I think it's not like they did things that would make it super dated, where it was like it seems like almost unrelatable. Like we were talking about the song choice. Like there's not like a whole bunch of. I mean, this would be cool 10 years ago, but like everything sounds like just accurately encapsulates like a time period that they were shooting the film in, but it'd still be relatable just given the story in the future. I think it's going to hold up well.
Yeah, I definitely think the movie's gonna hold up well because I've always felt that movies can be a form of therapy, and this movie will definitely be a form of healing for a lot of people.
I agree.
For anybody that unfortunately goes through situations that like this, though. And I also just want to say one thing about the movie is that even though I didn't watch it when it first came out, I'm glad I watch it now when I'm a huge Tim Impala fan because there was a song in the beginning of the film that I recognized, and had I seen it when it first came out in 2019, I would be like, song's cool, but who are they? Yeah. Before I wrap this up, was there anything about the movie you wanted to ask me?
I guess what I'd like to ask you was, do you feel like a sequel would serve that film well?
Probably not. I feel like it's one of those movies that it's good on its own. There was a beginning, middle, and end, and it had a purpose, and it served that purpose. So, though I am curious to see whatever this director does next, though. So,
that's awesome.
And that wraps up for this little brief discussion video about Waves that is celebrating its 5th anniversary. And again, if you've never seen this movie, I highly recommend it. Great story. The themes in there are timeless and great performances all around. And it's just a great movie all around. And anything you want to plug or anything you want to say to them about the movie or anything?
Definitely watch this film. Definitely watch this film. I think it's something that anybody would find enjoyable. Super interesting film, well-paced film. Super enjoyable. Like, definitely check this film out.
Alright, and that wraps it up. Thank you again, Winston. And I am your boy, Bangful B. Stay safe, wash your hands, peace.